Much for joining us. First thoughts, Ramdev, the market sulking over STT, but after it gets over, are there positives?
Yeah, I think total highlight is the data center tax benefit for next 22 years. That's the key highlight because data center is the biggest infra build all over the world, biggest, like running into trillions of dollars. And we were not participating at that force. And now with this, it looks that doors are open for the AI, the impact of AI coming into India. And we want to make India as an AI factory of the world. And hence, this is the first initiative. And I think it's a very laudable one. I remember the software boom happened in India in 90s because of the STP benefit which they gave, where 10 years it was tax-free. So I think it's a very powerful tool to attract the investments. India has the lowest cost of power, lowest cost of infrastructure, and very large AI population. So I think it's a very significant one, and it has a lot of correlations in terms of which are going to be the beneficiary. Because you need a lot of air conditioning, you need a lot of cables, you need a lot of construction, real estate construction. So let's see, I mean, how it happens and what kind of, at what size the data centers start coming up all over the country, wherever there is excess power. So it can fire up massive capex because it's very capital intensive. So it can fire up very large capital spending projects if it is handled well.
Mr. Agar, Ramdevji, good afternoon. Yeah. The only thing is, I was talking to somebody who works in the field who was saying that this is, and the tax experts told us, it's a data center providing cloud services for foreign companies. For local income is taxed. Yes. It is foreign companies. So this this consultant who was talking to was saying, how will they, data sovereignty is such a big thing that, like, for example, India wants its own data within its borders. So how is this going to, maybe the policy detail will have something, but Meta is not going to set up a data center to service its American customers, right? Because they want American data in America. So how will this really work or benefit? That's the only question, which was raised to me by somebody.
Yeah, so I think I also don't have any more detail than what I've heard here. But America is not the only country in the world to use AI. I mean,
any company, any country, any
million. Yeah. Any country. So we could be supplying to non-American or non-European destinations. For Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, your entire Middle East. I think this is a place where you should have the data center and the services manufactured here. So there are enough geographies where who cannot set up their own data centers would be finding it here to be set up the possibility. But those are different issues, Prashant. Yeah. Right now, the issue is that this is a very big initiative, and whatever changes are to be made in terms of taxation change, I think that will come through.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any reason why you tax a data center serving to the foreigners and not to the domestic users.
Yeah, I take your point on that. That is one advantage.
Just one thing, Gokuldas, if we can pull up Gokuldas, I'm not sure there's something, as the day goes by, as always happens, more and more details come through. Gokuldas is up 10%. I mean, it surged to the day's high, above 600 rupees. Just wanted to highlight that. Go on, Lata.
No, I agree with you because she has been speaking about textiles and the advantages they get. So we have to go with a fine-tooth comb to see how Gokuldas may be advantaged. Ramdevji, that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. The companies which do CDMO, kind of completely knocked down and then re-exporting, especially from SEZs, they are getting not a 5-year but a 10-year tax holiday. There are some nuggets like this, and there are companies like Keynes which are doing very well. Likewise, the API companies are doing very well, probably because of this. Can you notice sector-wise any advantages from the budget speech?
No, actually, I got spooked with the capital market proposals, about the STT and the impact of that in the market. So that was one part of it, and the buyback relief for the retail investors.
Yes,
that was one part of it. Third was this. I mean, what I saw about this data center exemption. This is very big, and I think it dwarfs every other proposal of the budget. This itself is a 1,000-pound gorilla.
Okay. What about NRIs allowed to come into PMSs in India? Would that look very big?
Which one?
NRIs used to buy shares directly. Now they can put money in PMSs in India, what they call PROIs. The NRI word is, permanent resident outside India. There seems to be a lot of concessions for them to come through PMS companies. Has that been noticed by your team?
Yeah, we saw that, but they're all at the margin. If markets do well, if the earnings come through, I think these things are going to help, but they're marginal in the sense that I don't think that's going to have that much of an impact in the short run.
Okay.
By the way, Radhiji, from your broking business, broking business head and team, etc., any feedback on this STT?
Yeah, so good. One thing is that today is Sunday, all the institutions are closed, local as well as global. And FIs are definitely out of the market today. So real impact of this will be seen tomorrow in terms of how are they thinking about this particular thing, because a lot of marginal trades will become unviable. So the high frequency traders, for them it will be unviable. A lot of it will be unviable. Second, there are a lot of products, arbitrage products, where a lot of money is there. Those will become unviable, and hence there will be a lot of redemption in those products whenever this new regime comes in.
Okay.
So the market will get less leveraged and less liquid. So the impact on the market will be a little more bearish because of this particular provision. Because the sheer viability of a lot of trades will not be there. So we'll see the full impact of it tomorrow. Good thing is, I think these things are applicable only from 1st April. So we have some time for the market to adjust.
Ramdevji, FIIs, when they come back tomorrow, will they press the buy button or the sell button?
That is for you to decide.
No.
I don't think this is a buy.
Yeah.
This measure is not a buy measure. So obviously, one has to figure out how much they sell, how furious they are. Basically, it all depends on. In any case, they were on an exit mode. So will it trigger further exits? Because right now the global market has so many stress points. This is not opportune time to actually give one more headache to them.
Okay.
This is a time to keep them at least peaceful at home, and not trouble them, because they are already suffering from.
And you were saying that this at the margin, and Ramdevji, and you're saying at the margin this will trouble them. You're saying how furious they are. We'll have to see. Yeah.
That we'll have to see tomorrow only. I mean, right now, my information is not that much more. I can just speak to some of my traders here, because those guys are actually on holiday. Today is Sunday.
No, I get it. Ramdevji,
so
there's one more.
Know only tomorrow. I hope the impact is minimal, because we have still got 2 months' time for it to get implemented. So tomorrow itself, they don't have to do anything. But incrementally, I don't think it's a very positive measure for their activities in India.
Okay, just a final question to you, Ramdevji. Excise duty, union excise duty, according to the budget papers, budget at a glance, is rising by 6%. Now, union excise duty is applied only on oil marketing, right? Oil products. So, do you think this is going to look like OMC negative? Usually, the excise duty in a typical year rises by maybe 3%. This is 6%, the total kitty.
Okay, so they might be expecting 5-6% volume growth during the year. At current prices, they might be expecting 5-6% volume growth. Or maybe some mix change or something like that. So 5-6% doesn't look that alarming.
Okay. Well, we've got some more guests joining us. Rajiv Anand, the Managing Director and CEO at IndusInd Bank. Nirmal Jain, founder of IIFL Group. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Rajiv, 2 things for banks. One, the borrowing number, 17.2 lakh crore. First, your thoughts on that.
I think it's a little higher than expected, but one would imagine that RBI will manage, as they have every year, through a mix of OMOs and switches. So I don't think, yes, the gross borrowing program is a bit of a concern, but I think if you look at it at a net number, the numbers don't look alarming. I think more importantly, the fiscal math at 10% nominal looks very, very credible. And I think there is a little bit of leeway in terms of non-tax receipts as well. Yes, I think in the very short term, a little negative, but yeah, and you will probably see yields going up a little bit on Monday.
Yeah.
But I think that should adjust itself over a period of time.
No, I agree with you completely. The fiscal math is excellent. No aggressive assumptions. And then there is this a banking committee they have appointed to suggest reforms ahead. Is that looking like a very big positive? I mean, ownership, voting rights, everything could be up for changes?
I think those are the two big ones, isn't it? I mean, I think there's been a lot of debate around ownership of banks, here in India, and this disconnect between ownership and voting rights. I think that will form the crux of how the banking industry in India will get built over the next 25 years. We've begun to see, the first cut of that. We've seen a couple of transactions where there's been a fundamental shift in the way that the regulator has thought about the SMBC Yes Bank transaction and the Emirates RBL transaction is in a sense showing you the way that the regulator is thinking about these issues.
Ramdevji, if I can come to you, there's one specific thing, which is dividends from mutual fund cannot be set off against dividend income cannot be set off against interest paid on borrowings. Is that I was just checking with the tax expert. Is that a big thing? Will that have a big impact?
Within mutual funds?
Dividend from mutual funds, you could have set off up to 20% against interest paid on borrowings. That has gone away. That is what our tax experts, Dinesh Kanabar and Ashok Wadhwa. So I'm just thinking, will this apply to like leverage trades and all? People borrowing to... and this will be largely for investment companies and HNIs, etc. But could it have a big impact?
I think it's very individualistic in the sense that who is doing leverage trade, and those kind of guys, they will not get the break against the dividend, what interest they are paying. So you have to pay tax on that. So I think it will be very marginal. For most of the guys, overall aggregate, I don't think it's big.
Okay. Nirmal Jain is with us as well. Nirmal, if you can come in on this particular aspect, interest cannot be offset against dividends you get on mutual funds. Any thoughts here?
I mean, it's a little negative because 20% what was allowed earlier, so it might increase tax liability a little. But I mean, the overall scheme of things, this is not a significant mover or shaker in the market.
Okay. What I'll do is, I have more questions for both Nirmal and Rajiv. Ramdevji, thank you very much for joining us right now. So, and you have a busy day ahead, so we'll see you later. We'll just take a very quick break here. Come right back with Rajiv Anand and Nirmal Jain.
नारी शक्ति का सशक्त प्रतिबिंब झलकता है। महिला वित्त मंत्री के रूप में निर्मला जी ने लगातार 9वीं बार देश का बजट प्रस्तुत करके नया रिकॉर्ड बनाया है। ये बजट अपार अवसरों का राजमार्ग है। ये बजट वर्तमान के सपनों को साकार करता है और भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य की नींव को सशक्त करता है। ये बजट 2047 के विकसित भारत की हमारी ऊंची उड़ान का मजबूत आधार है। साथियों, आज भारत जिस रिफॉर्म एक्सप्रेस पर सवार है, इस बजट से उसे नई ऊर्जा, नई गति मिलेगी। जो पाथ ब्रेकिंग रिफॉर्म्स किए गए हैं, वो एस्पिरेशन से भरे हुए भारत के साहसिक, टैलेंटेड युवाओं को उड़ने के लिए खुला आसमान देते हैं। ये बजट ट्रस्ट बेस्ड गवर्नेंस और ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक अर्थरचना के विजन को साकार करता है। एक ऐसा यूनिक बजट है जिसमें फिस्कल डेफिसिट कम करने, इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल करने पर फोकस है और इसके साथ ही बजट में हाई कैपेक्स और हाई ग्रोथ का भी समन्वय है। साथियों, ये बजट भारत की वैश्विक भूमिका को नए सिरे से सशक्त करता है। भारत के 140 करोड़ नागरिक फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग इकोनॉमी बनकर ही संतुष्ट नहीं है। हम जल्द से जल्द दुनिया की तीसरी सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनना चाहते हैं। ये करोड़ों देशवासियों का संकल्प है। दुनिया के एक ट्रस्टेड डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टनर और ट्रस्टेड क्वालिटी सप्लायर के रूप में भारत की भूमिका लगातार बढ़ रही है। हाल में जो बड़ी बड़ी ट्रेड डील्स भारत ने की है, मदर ऑफ ऑल डील्स, उसका मैक्सिमम बेनिफिट भारत के युवाओं को मिले, भारत के लघु और मध्यम उद्योग वालों को मिले। इस दिशा में बजट में बड़े बड़े कदम उठाए गए हैं। साथियों, इस बजट में मेक इन इंडिया और आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान को नई रफ्तार के लिए महत्वाकांक्षी रोड मैप प्रस्तुत किया गया है। इस बजट में नई उभरती इंडस्ट्रीज यानी सनराइज सेक्टर्स को जिस मजबूती के साथ समर्थन दिया गया है, वह अभूतपूर्व है। बायो फार्मा शक्ति मिशन, सेमीकंडक्टर मिशन 2.0, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग स्कीम, रेयर अर्थ कॉरिडोर का निर्माण, क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स पर बल, टेक्सटाइल सेक्टर में नई स्कीम, हाईटेक टूल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को बढ़ावा, चैंपियन एमएसएमईज तैयार करना, ये फ्यूचरिस्टिक है। देश की वर्तमान और भविष्य की आवश्यकताओं का ध्यान रखती है। एमएसएमईज को, हमारे लघु और कुटीर उद्योगों को जो समर्थन इस बजट में मिला है, वो उन्हें लोकल से ग्लोबल बनने की नई ताकत देगा। साथियों, बजट में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को मजबूत करने के लिए कई बड़े कदम उठाए गए हैं। डेडिकेटेड फ्रेट कॉरिडोर, देश भर में वाटरवेज का विस्तार, हाई स्पीड रेल कॉरिडोर, टियर 2 और टियर 3 शहरों के विकास पर विशेष ध्यान और शहरों को मजबूत आर्थिक आधार देने के लिए म्युनिसिपल बॉन्ड्स को बढ़ावा। ये सारे कदम विकसित भारत की यात्रा की गति को और तेज करेंगे। साथियों, किसी भी देश की सबसे बड़ी पूंजी उसके नागरिक होते हैं। बीते वर्षों में हमारी सरकार ने देश के नागरिकों के सामर्थ्य को बढ़ाने पर अभूतपूर्व निवेश किया है। हमारा प्रयास स्किल, स्केल और सस्टेनेबिलिटी को निरंतर बल देने का रहा है। जैसा कि आज पार्लियामेंट में निर्मला जी ने कहा है, यह युवा शक्ति बजट है। उसमें युवा की सोच भी है, युवा के सपने भी हैं, युवा का संकल्प भी है और साथ साथ युवा की गति भी है। बजट में जो प्रावधान किए गए हैं, उससे अलग अलग सेक्टर्स में लीडर्स, इनोवेटर्स और क्रिएटर्स तैयार होंगे। मेडिकल हब्स के निर्माण से, एलाइड हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल्स के माध्यम से, ऑरेंज इकोनॉमी यानी ऑडियो विजुअल गेमिंग को बढ़ावा देकर, पर्यटन को प्रोत्साहन देकर और खेलो इंडिया मिशन के माध्यम से युवाओं के लिए नए अवसरों के द्वार खुलेंगे। भारत को दुनिया का डेटा सेंटर हब बनाने के लिए टैक्स में बड़ी छूट की घोषणा भी की गई है। मैं भारत के युवाओं को विशेष तौर पर इस बजट की बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, क्योंकि इससे एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन को बड़ा बूस्ट मिलेगा। मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि इस बजट में टूरिज्म और विशेषकर नॉर्थ ईस्ट में टूरिज्म को बढ़ावा देने के लिए भी ठोस कदम उठाए गए हैं। भारत के अलग अलग राज्यों को ताकतवर बनाकर संतुलित विकास की नींव भी इस बजट में मजबूत की गई है। साथियों, हमारे देश में 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा महिलाएं सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप से जुड़ी हैं और बड़ा सफल अभियान रहा है। महिलाओं द्वारा निर्मित, महिलाओं द्वारा संचालित सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स का आधुनिक इकोसिस्टम बने, बजट में इसे प्राथमिकता दी गई है। कोशिश यही है कि हर घर लक्ष्मी जी पधारे। हर जिले में छात्राओं के लिए नए हॉस्टल बनाने का अभियान भी शिक्षा को सुलभ बनाएगा। साथियों, भारत की कृषि, डेयरी सेक्टर, फिशरीज, इन्हें हमारी सरकार ने हमेशा सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता दी है। इस बजट में भी नारियल, काजू, कोको और चंदन की पैदावार से जुड़े किसानों के लिए अनेक अहम कदम उठाए गए हैं। भारत विस्तार एआई इस टूल से किसानों को उनकी भाषा में जानकारी मिलने से उन्हें बहुत मदद मिलेगी। फिशरीज और पशुपालन में उद्यमिता उसको बढ़ावा देने से गांव में ही रोजगार और स्वरोजगार के और ज्यादा अवसर बनेंगे। साथियों, ये बजट एम्बिशियस भी है और ये बजट देश की एस्पिरेशन को भी एड्रेस करता है। मैं एक बार फिर निर्मला जी और उनकी पूरी टीम को इस फ्यूचरिस्टिक बजट के लिए, संवेदनशील बजट के लिए, गांव गरीब किसान का कल्याण करने वाले बजट के लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Well, that is the Prime Minister in this, address right after the budget. Every budget, of course, he comes through highlighting what the Finance Minister has announced, and of course, congratulating Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman for presenting her 9th budget. It's a record in terms of, as finance ministers go. Rajiv Anand is, of course, been waiting by. Rajiv, good afternoon. Prashant here, and thank you for waiting patiently. Anything else comes to mind? Lata, of course, asked you a few things, but what do you think the net effect of all of what has been announced is going to be on sort of pushing through high rates of credit into the system? That'll depend on demand for credit. What do you think this does?
Two things, Prashant. One is, apart from everything that's been said about increased capex and data centers, etc., that we've been hearing all afternoon, I think two things. One is the big focus on MSMEs. The fact that the government will now start to provide capital for MSMEs as well. I mean, typically what happens to MSMEs is capital is raised from internal, friends and family. Now there will be a pool that will be available from the government as well, which is certainly positive. A bigger focus on TREDs, I think, is a huge positive. One of the things that MSMEs suffer from somewhat is delayed payments from government entities. And therefore choking working capital, and this will certainly help that as well. So I think for banks like us who are looking to build out a large MSME franchise, I think all this is very positive, because I think the underlying pool of available borrowers will only increase going forward. And the second is, I think one of the big issues that the markets have been facing is the higher and higher levels of borrowing from state governments. I think the fact that now 41% of devolution based on the Finance Commission is now going to the states, I think to that extent will certainly assuage some of these concerns. So I think those are the two that I've not heard much about, so which is why I wanted to highlight those.
Rajiv, hi. Do you want to comment on the overall gross borrowing number of more than 17 lakh crore? It may lead to yields remaining high, treasury income gets hit. Do you see this as an issue for a bank?
I think, like I mentioned to Lata as well, that I think the gross borrowing program is slightly higher than market expectations. But I think year on year, every year for the last 3-4 years, the RBI has done a fantastic job in managing, that demand supply situation and yields. So I do expect them to come in with OMOs and switches to be able to manage the volatility as far as yields are concerned as a result of this. Remember that the net borrowing program continues to be well contained as per market expectations.
Rajiv, thank you very much for staying with us on this important day. And I'm sure as budgets go, more details, etc., will come through. But I think the bigger thrust you've given us, directionally speaking. Thank you very much for joining us. Pankaj Tibriwal is with us, founder and CIO at Ikagai Asset Managers. Pankaj, I think there are lots of positives, no doubt. As Rajiv is pointing out, others have pointed out as well. But this STT bid is just, I think more than anything else, it's the timing of the thing, right? Which has taken a bite out of the sentiment at this point. Just your first thoughts, first impressions, and then we'll get down to specifics.
So, Prashant, I think market has overreacted on this because of maybe the prevailing sentiment right now. If you look at the ballpark number, it will get about 20,000-25,000 crores. So one way you can argue that for that 25,000 crore, it was not necessary at this point of time because the sentiments were quite fragile, both domestically and globally. And India has been one of the worst performing markets. But you slightly take a medium-term view and look at the past. I think in the near term, there's some volume reaction which may happen at the exchanges and by speculators. But over a 3, 4, 6 months period, history suggests that things starts to get normalized. So I'm not very concerned.
Who's there?
I think market has been, expecting a little bit of tweaking out on long-term capital gains and short-term capital gains. That has not happened. But overall, if you ask me, it's quite a pragmatic budget. You remember, Prashant, always in the past, the first half an hour, 45 minutes, we used to talk about rural, farm, and that used to take a lot of time. If you notice this time, it was all about manufacturing. And the rural part was just a very small mention in the entire speech. So I think the focus clearly reflects that is moving from farm to what means for the actual economy. And a lot of mention about AI, data centers, new age technology, and manufacturing. So I think it's quite a pragmatic budget, if you ask me. It could have been worse on taxation, but nothing, no bad news is good news in my view. So I would take it saying that markets will digest it over the next couple of days and think that it is not as bad as it is made out to be on the screen today.
Okay, Pankaj, stay with us. In the morning, we promised that we will get you both the two big exchanges, right? NSE, we beamed out of in the morning. We rang the bell from the NSE, and now Mangalam is at the BSC covering the full ground. Vikas Khemani is with him. And there are a few other guests as well, including N. Jaykumar. Mangalam, take it away.
That's correct. So we do have with us the three wise men of the market. We have Rahul, we have Vikas, we have Jakes as well. We come to you from the Bombay Stock Exchange after beaming live from the National Stock Exchange this morning. Gentlemen, the overarching reaction so far has been that it is a balanced budget. The only fly in the ointment was the increase that was there in the STT in futures and options. Now that, there has been some analysis done on some of the fine print of the budget as well, the net borrowings, the gross borrowings, etc. What are the actionable ideas and what are your initial thoughts? Vikas?
I think so. This budget has to be seen in the light of the last year's budget when there was a huge income tax rate cut and GST cut happened during the year. So the maneuverability of the finance minister is kind of limited in that sense from a tax collection perspective. And within that, I think she has done a good job. What I like about this budget is, of course, there's a huge focus on the manufacturing side in the EMS, textiles, semiconductors. So I think entire manufacturing space has been addressed with a reasonably good boost, and it comes also in the context of current FTAs with different countries. So I think it's a very, very good initiative they have taken from a manufacturing side. Secondly, if you see our capital expenditure has gone up. Defense expenditure has been, budgeted more than about 18-19%. Railways is up about 10%. Roads. So I think public capex is also a good increase, which is I think positive. Also, first time I think Minister has talked about a big focus on the services industry, where she has put a vision that how do I attract medical tourism, how do I attract tourists, and overall target 10% of the world services market. That's the kind of vision. So they've kind of given a roadmap in terms of how she wants to achieve that. And few things which have been missed or probably not well appreciated that they've given tax incentives for data center till zero corporate tax for 2040, still 2047 on data centers. Gift city tax holiday has increased from 10 to 20. So a lot of measurements have been done to do improve the ease of the business. Yes, of course, disappointing factor is, in my opinion, STT increase, which was not required. There's a widespread demand of the industry that long-term capital gain tax and STT both should not coexist because they were alternative to each other. But today, in reality, we have both of them, and without getting any credit of STT, which is a very, very big dampener. Something was definitely expected on the lines of liquidity improvement in the system, which probably can come outside budget also. But today we are sitting on a poor sentiment from a FI perspective. Some amount of measurement or initiative or discussion could have been kind of welcome on that. But net I would say it's a good budget, and it's continuation more of same of their past policies, and with a little bit of things which I talked about have been taken care.
Jakes, given the current sentiment, do you think more of the same is good for now, or there could have been a lot more? Do you think it's a missed opportunity?
So I think you could look at it both ways. One is to say that here's a batsman who's got a century there. Can he go for a double hundred by the singles and an occasional boundary, or do you need to be, because you've achieved 100, you've achieved everything? I think the message being given is that there's a long way to go. So all your targets are 2047, 2031, 2035 kind of dates for things to be achieved. I agree with Vikas in that a lot of, should I say, pylons have been put into the ground, to be able to build something on top of it over a period of time. I'm really bullish about this entire digital highway, digital infrastructure that's being sought to be created, which now includes data centers, which includes telecom infrastructure, and the kind of incentives that have been now laid out for people to make investments over a 2-decade period. I think that's the big thing. Two, FIIs have been an integral part of the market. So to the extent that their, if you will, grievances have not been addressed, is an ongoing saga. But to my mind, there has to be one or two areas that you need to, to get up from the table and say has not been addressed, because it might be something for the future. Domestic liquidity improvements, RBI continues to do. The fiscal push is coming from the government in that sense. So I'm reasonably okay with it. A couple of flies in the ointment, if you will, which is things like the STT. Because if the idea was that it should be a deterrent rather than, a revenue generating tool, which I'm beginning to understand will be the kind of logic that they will give you, then really there needs to be net worth and other criteria to keep people away. You can't make it accessible to one and all and yet say that, you're going to have a continuing increase in STD charge. That doesn't make sense.
It's like the sale of loose cigarettes and then taxing them, as Vikas earlier pointed out.
So I think the narrative there needs to be more clear. It is a deterrent. We don't want people to come in except through mutual funds, and therefore either contract size, etc., can go up. Other than that, I feel the biopharma initiative, for instance, and if you look at, overall, some sectors are hugely benefited from a weakening rupee, etc., which is outside the budget, and they continue to get trust, like the biopharma, as I said, is one, or infrastructure, the data centers, etc., and the attraction of services. So, all in all, some repetition to what he said, but this is really the take.
Rahul, tomorrow when the market opens full steam, what would be the 2 or 3 things that you would do given the current budget? What sectors would you deploy in, and what sectors would you take the money out of?
So, from a client perspective, correct, like what Vikas also said, like Jex also said, that manufacturing and infra has got a good push. So, those are the sectors which someone should look out for. Pharma and hospitals, because there has been medical tourism which has been announced. And also real estate sectors which support data centers from power, etc. I think these are interesting sectors to which I would look out for. And something which you should get away from, I would say defense versus expectation, which has not been up to the mark, is one thing which you can look out for.
All right, take that point. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for joining in. Those are the 3 wise men at the BSE. I'll toss it back to you guys in the studio, Nigel, for the markets, with a promise that we'll shortly get the leadership at BSE to join and comment on the increase in STT as well. But for now, it's back to you guys in the studio. Nigel.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Mangalam. We'll wait for that chat with the BSE chairman. But for the time being, let's do a quick market check. Well, I think, the motto of today, or the takeaway today, is keep your expectations low. Because the defense stocks, the expectations are very, very high. To be fair, the street actually got what it wanted. But just take a look at the defense index. That's down close to around 4.2%. And whether you're looking at BEL, Bharat Dynamics, HAL, all of them should come up for you on the screen. Well, they are under some pressure in today's trading session. However, the jeweler stocks actually are spiking up because there was a buzz that there could be some duty that will be imposed on gold. So you have Titan that's seeing a bit of a relief rally. Kalyan Jewellers as well, that should come up for you. Expectations were that, maybe we'll see a bit of a hike. That's not come about. So that's why those stocks are seeing a relief rally. The stocks that are getting absolutely hammered is on the back of sentiment getting hit. STT's hike, that's come out of nowhere. You were hoping for some kind of leeway with regard to capital gains tax. That's not happened. In longer term, you'll say, well, it prevents any kind of futures and options trading, but and it'll help in terms of larger amount of money going to mutual funds, but that for another day. For the time being, whether you look at Angel One, BSC, CDSL, all those market players, they are under pressure. the gross market borrowing number, that came in at more than 17 lakh crore. And that seems to have spooked some of those PSU banking names because you have PNB, SBI, both of them are under some pressure. Remember, the yields could move up. And that's why, in fact, you are seeing some kind of selling pressure on those names as well. Moving to the data center plays, they're really the toast of the day. Whether you look at NetWeb, Orion Pro, that stock is up. You have E2E networks as well. All of them, they are in a world of their own, getting anything between 5 to around 7% in today's trading session. Big move is what we're seeing out there. And the EMS companies, they have seen a sharp correction from the top. But the allocation to the component PLI out there, that's been doubled, nearly 2 times to around 40,000 crores odd, if I remember that number correctly. So you have a few of these stocks. Dixon is under pressure, but Amber you pull up. That stock's doing quite well in today's trading session, and a few of the other names as well. The sector that's, the IT stocks as well. There's a bit of tweaking that's taken place, and you have the rules for buyback as well. That's, more or less eased out. So because of that, you have a few of those names that are doing quite well. Wipro is doing pretty well in today's trading session, but let's wind it up with a sector that's losing big today, which has actually rallied big time in this month so far. The metal index and those metal plays, whether you're looking at Hindustan Zinc, Muthoot Finance or MCX. Remember, that has CTT, not STT, but all those stocks under some pressure. So plenty of movers, guys, from the broader markets. Some of them gaining, most of them losing. That's sort of a day.
And it's a Sunday. So it's red all across. Nigel, thanks very much for that. Very comprehensive. We'll take a quick commercial break here. We'll come back. By the way, the Finance Minister is also going to be starting to address the press in a bit from now. And some flashes coming in. I think this is clarification. Because the budgeted number for excise collections was much higher in FY27, there was some fear that this is going to be, this is going to happen through an excise hike on petrol and diesel. And for now, what we understand is there is no change in excise duties on petrol and diesel at this point. As I said, take a break. We have Tarun Garg, MD and CEO of Hyundai Motor India, join us on the other side. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Markets still down, but we've recovered considerably from the lows of the day. And the stocks that have recovered actually are some of those OMCs, where they're looking at, HPCL, BPCL, as well as IOC. Post that flash that we're putting up for you on the screen, there's no change in the excise duty. We'll have to check out and see how exactly are they coming up with the math to garner such high excise duty, because we know part of it will come from cigarettes, but otherwise, the street was fearing that the rest of it would come from an excise duty hike. For the time being, they say no. We'll try to understand that in greater detail, but all those stocks have recovered from the day's low. Well, let's welcome on the show, we have Tarun Garg, MD and CEO at Hyundai Motor India, who joins us on the show. Hi, Mr. Garg. Thanks a lot for joining in. Well, the Finance Minister has said what she has to. The longer-term trajectory is what is laid out with regard to the fiscal deficit numbers, as well as the debt-to-GDP numbers. That's good in the longer term, but how would you rate this budget? And, if you had to put a rating on 10, what would it be?
Oh, budget is definitely a 9 for me, and it's clearly a reform-intensive, investment-led budget. It provides stability, it provides structural reforms, of course, fiscal discipline as well. And we have to understand that we have to look at this budget along with the GST 2.0 reforms which had come in. Today, you saw the automobile numbers coming in. All of us are showing record growth. And I think this budget will really position India as a global manufacturing hub and ensure a 7% GDP growth in the long term.
Well, Mr. Garg, some were hoping that there'll be a bigger push. We know the uncertainty in the globe, and there was a hope that maybe, in fact, some kind of slip on the deficit number would be okay, but a greater push to growth. Do you think something more could have been done on that front? Because that push, I think, is lacking a little bit.
Absolutely not. If you see manufacturing, we have all said that manufacturing has to have 25% of the GDP, and I think a clear direction has been set. You can see the electronic manufacturing, semiconductor manufacturing, 40,000 crore outlay has been increased. So this is very good. Tourism, I think we all know that India, probably there is a long way to go before we can actually utilize and leverage India's, such great tourist spots. I think that has really given a lot of hope to tourism, but to mobility as well, focus on logistics sector. So I think, yes, it provides continuity, it provides stability. Of course, everybody is always expecting more, but I'm sure one thing which is very important is also the fiscal discipline. 4.3% fiscal deficit really gave me a lot of hope that, yes, not only will we grow, but we will also grow, responsibly.
Sir, specific to your company, to Hyundai India, can you tell us, is there anything in the budget which is very positive for you? Big picture you spoke about. If India grows, Hyundai does well, etc. But just specific, any nuances that you can share in the budget which is beneficial or something you were hoping for didn't come through?
Look, one thing which is very important is supply chain stability. We all know that what happens when rare earth material shortage to the auto industry. I think that has been really given a lot of focus here. Electronics, we all know that next 5 years probably, electronics is going to be a key component, and manufacturing, focus on electronics is very important. And then ease of doing business, ease of living. Please understand, as car makers, we want citizens to be happy, and you can see that a lot of efforts has been done for that ease of living, ease of taxation. I think all in all, generally people are going to be very happy. Plus, like I said, it's only 4 months since the major reform of GST 2.0 happened. So for us, we are, frankly speaking, very happy. And we believe that this year we could see the car industry coming back to the mid 7-8% growth levels, which we had been clocking. But before the GST 2.0, we had kind of slipped off the radar.
Tarun, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Good speaking with you, and really appreciate your time here on CNBC-TV18. Well, I think 274 points lower is what we have, and there is some pressure. If you can line up, I think we have the BSE MD and CEO, Mr. Ramamurthy, who's going to be speaking with Mangalam, and we'd like to play that out for you. BSE is, of course, down sharply on the back of the STT hike of about 7.25% or so. Market breadth is 1,200 up and about 1,800, 1,900 lower. So it is a wide difference. in terms of number of stocks up and down. I mean, in the midst of all of this, what has happened, of course, is what we started with, which is the big correction on underlying commodities. So there is that factor also at play, which was there before 11 o'clock, before the speech began. And then, of course, I mean, the entire commodity pack was selling off before the budget, and after the budget, I think, you've got capital market plays, et cetera, which are selling off as well. And of course, at the margin, the STT hike, I think, has soured the mood a little bit. We'll take a quick commercial break here. We'll come back, as I said, the BSE MD CEO perhaps with us, hopefully, and the Finance Minister is going to be addressing a post-budget press conference, so we'll go across to that as well. Okay, welcome back. 270 points lower on the Nifty. Wix is jumping, right? Wix is up about 7% or so. Small cap index, mid cap index, Bank Nifty down. So there is, I mean, lots of clarification. Sovereign gold bonds, for example, right? I mean, okay. I'm being told that Mangalam has the BSE MD and CEO, Mr. Ramamurthy, with him. Mangalam, over to you.
Well, thanks a lot for that. Yes, we do have the first reaction coming in from the MD CEO of the Bombay Stock Exchange, Mr. Ramamurthy, thank you so much for joining in. You know, the street is a little worried about the imposition or increase of STT on futures and options. Now, you get a significant chunk of your revenue from that product. So, what kind of impact do you think will happen on your business and on the capital market stage at large?
Thank you for having me. And before I start replying to your question, let me congratulate the Honorable Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs for another successful budget proposal to the House of Parliament today. The budget clearly is one another step towards Viksit Bharat by concentrating on capital formation and fiscal discipline,
right,
and main sectors of the economy like manufacturing, services, semiconductors, SMEs,
right,
all have been covered. On the specific question on STT that you have asked, the increase on STT on derivatives, I look at it as a move from the government to oriental and align people towards trading and investing long-term in equities.
Got it.
Today, the equity STT will be lower than F&O STT, which encourages them to get into the equities market. That is totally in alignment with the capital formation requirement of Viksit Bharat. The STT increase, this is not the first time it has happened.
Got it.
Every time when it happens, the reaction is exactly like what you said. The market feels worried and concerned whether it will impact volumes, will impact revenues, etc. India is a growing economy and fast growing in a big way. And in that process, what we have always seen is the market growth is so much and the depth of the market grows so much. The initial concerns go away soon, so the market starts developing.
What you're saying is that the medium to long term, this is a step in the right direction towards deploying money into long-term equity investing as against near-term trading. But for businesses like yours, and there are investors that are watching as well, the stock's lower, what could the near-term impact be if you could quantify that?
I don't think it will be possible to quantify. I'll tell you the reason. We are presuming a static thing of a change will have an impact on a dynamic thing. When the market is dynamic and growing, and as you also said, in the mid and long term, it looks like being a good thing to happen. So it will not be possible for us to say that, first of all, there will be a dip, and if there is a dip, it will be so much.
But you do have the benefit of experience, right? You said it's not the first time something like this has happened. The last time this happened, what was the initial impact?
I don't think there has been any dip. The market has taken it and in its stride, and it has grown. So I feel that the same thing will happen. Please understand, India is a growing economy, and in a big way growing economy. And this type of stuff will immediately have some dip to start with as a thought process. And in the coming days, it will go, and people will understand the impact of investing in equities market, and therefore there will be larger scale capital formation.
What do you think the government could have done in this union budget to, attract the FIIs back into the market?
I think there has been already a move in respect of PROIs, and there has been a lot of efforts put on addressing the tariffs, tariffs affected areas, for example, textile, chips, etc. I think that these are all positive things to be looked into.
All right, and we're also speaking at a time when there has been an approval for the NSE's IPO. And typically when a leader lists in the market, we do see a rub-off on all the others as well. So what are your initial reactions on that?
Initial reaction is congratulations NSE, and this has been a great thing. And SEBI, as promised, has delivered within the stipulated time, this NOC. I have shared this even before in CNBC. We are extremely glad and happy, and we are very happy, and we wish all the best to NSE.
All right, and we wish all the best to you, your volumes, and your market share going forward as well. Thank you so much for joining us on this occasion. With that, it's back to you guys in the studio.
Well, thanks very much, Mangalam. For that, 7% lower on BSE, though, for now. There is that impact which is coming through. Mr. Ramamurthy was confident that markets will look through this in terms of increases. This increase itself is significant, right? 50% on options and 150% on futures. Yash is here with some numbers in terms of what this translates into. Yash, run us through that math.
Well, Prashant, if you remember, just yesterday there was this slight bit of conversation from market participants about, STT on derivatives going up. Of course, yesterday it was only chatter, but today it certainly came through as far as that budget document is concerned. STT on equity options to be hiked to 0.15%. From the current 0.1%, that's a 50% hike, and STT on equity futures hiked to 0.15% from 0.05%. That's about 150% hike on equity futures. Just one important clarification, because this was a bit of confusion amongst market participants, that this STT hike or the securities transaction tax hike only applies on equity transactions and not on commodity transactions. There has been no change as far as commodity transactions are concerned. But as far as numbers are concerned, and the numbers are today reflecting as far as stock prices of the market, capital market companies are concerned. Angel One, as per FY25 revenue, it contributed 44%. This is the contribution of equity derivatives transaction to the revenue. Angel One, it was 44%, BSE, it was 55%, and the National Stock Exchange or NSE, it was 70%. Just yesterday, there was also a tweet from Nitin Kamath on the same issue, saying that the projected STT collection for FY25-26 was about 78,000 crore rupees for the government. The government till January had collected about 45,000 crore rupees. An estimated another 12,000 crore rupees by March would take the government to about 57,000 crore rupees, still giving a shortfall of about 25% to that projected number of 78,000 crore rupees. It wasn't unlikely to be met in the current financial year, and hence that shortfall somehow trying to be made up for as far as the coming financial year with that increase in STT is concerned.
All right, Yash, thank you very much for that. Ramdev Agarwal earlier telling us that, where this makes a difference is basically HFTs, high-frequency traders, etc., who are trading in and out, a million times a day. Then that starts to incrementally hurt. The dampening effect on volumes, etc., and things like market depth. We'll have to see if all that comes through, but these are big increases. With the government, of course, with an eye on the revenue. Data centers, we've heard unambiguously from everyone we've spoken to so far, as the absolute big one. Vinny is here and of course, with feedback from companies that she's spoken with in terms of what this would mean and how large this could be. Vinny, take it away.
Hi, so yes, an important announcement that's coming for data centers. Obviously, Nirmala Sitharaman announced that major tax holiday till 2047 for foreign companies, cloud service companies that are providing and using India data centers to serve globally. But they'll also have to provide their Indian entity or any tie-up that they have would have to provide to Indian customers as well. Now, why does this become important? It's because do not forget, in 2025, we've seen many big players actually come into data centers, whether you look at Reliance, AWS, Adani, Google. We have all these making a total investments, including some other companies, of $63 billion. So obviously these tie-ups become important. They push the data center infrastructure in the country as well. And obviously today we saw all those stocks buzzing in trade, whether you look at an Anant Raj. Now that is a company that is into data center for a mainly increasing their capacity. They are into the real estate side. So infrastructure boxes that are made, that is from Anant Raj. Then there's E2E Networks, that's a cloud infra company, Netweb Technologies, Orient Pro, all of these are into AI and data center technologies. Now, obviously, the whole value chain will start benefiting, and we've spoken about this before as well, that value chains, like whether you look at something like these capital good companies or even cable wire companies, all of them come into use. The whole value chain will start seeing benefits coming in. ABB, Siemens, Hitachi Energy, some of the other names, as well as Voltas, are some of the names that would start seeing a benefit, and that's why these stocks become important in the trading session as well.
Okay, all right, Vinny, thank you very much for that. You can see visuals coming through from New Delhi, the Finance Minister. As always, the post-budget conference, typically the post-budget conference happens after market hours and kicks off, I think, used to be at about 4 o'clock or so. And of course, she's flanked by her secretaries on both sides, Revenue Secretary, Finance Secretary, and I think the other top secretaries of the Government of India very much part on the dais. So there will be, of course, the Finance Minister who will sort of, lay out what the highlights of what was laid out in the budget, kind of sort of give an overview perhaps a secretary or two also chips in, and then there'll be a Q&A session. That's how typically the post-budget press conference will proceed. Our colleague Sapna Das is with us, and we have other colleagues there as well. So that is the post-budget press conference coming through right now. Let's cut across.
The secretaries, you've heard the entire budget being presented in the Parliament. So as opening remarks, I'll just highlight some of the points which we want to draw your attention to. But subsequently, of course, we'll answer all your questions. All the secretaries are here with me. So this budget being the first one, as the Honorable Prime Minister said 2 days ago, this being the first one for the second quarter of this century, also leading towards Vikasit Bharat 2047. We are laying the path and giving a push to the economy to maintain the growth momentum. And for that growth momentum or sustained economic growth, which we want to ensure, primarily we are looking at building the ecosystem with structural reforms which will go on. Reforms have been carried out. We are continuing to do the reform activities. It will continue with an aim to make sure that we create enough environment for improving productivity and making sure employment is generated. Driven by technology. So we will ensure that technology is brought in to benefit the common man, to make sure common man benefits in the sense of ease of doing living, or for his business to prosper, or for farmers for greater productivity or better logistics, whatever. So technology for benefiting every common man. And above all, with all this, inclusive development. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and that is why you heard me bringing in schemes which have good allocations for bringing better health facilities, creating a cadre of people, not cadre in that sense, but a bulk of people who can come in as health workers, paramedics, and so on. And also making sure we are able to provide dignified opportunities for Divyangjan. Mental health has also received a lot of attention. So these are the side for Vikasit Bharat and making sure Sabka Vikas hoega. But the idea is the advantage and the momentum that we gained since after COVID by increasing public capital expenditure will continue. We've announced that 12.2 lakh crores are coming through public expenditure this time. It is 4.4% of the GDP. I'd like you all to please notice that, which is the highest, at least in the last 10 years. It could even be highest if you were to take data earlier. No increment in capital expenditure, sustained fashion, has happened ever before. This one marking 4.4% of the GDP. Then what are the kind of things which will happen through it? You will have dedicated freight corridors. I've named Dankuni in the east, Surat in the west. Then I've also highlighted that 20 new national waterways, not national highways, national waterways are being planned. And again there, those are going to pass through some of the critical mineral areas. Orissa, where the mineral-rich state, you have the waterways taking it to the port. And the two ports have been identified, Paradip and Dhamra. Similarly, we are also making sure that the coastal cargo movements will be enabled through a cargo route, so that through the coastal area we are able to cut down on cost of movement of goods. City economic regions, developing them is a very big new measure that we're coming up with. And for that, an allocation of 5,000 crore per city economic region. Imagine the amount, 5,000 crores in 5 years, 1,000 crore per year per city is being given, and the emphasis is going to be largely on tier 2, tier 3 cities. And then talking of infrastructure further, with the capital expenditure coming with the big number, you're having also the high-speed rail corridors. 7 of them announced, the destinations are clear, so that they become the bridge for all these economical robust centers. So those are for making sure that the infrastructure and the capital expenditure are getting tied up, and the country benefits from the ripple effects that these can bring in. The 7 strategic and frontier sectors in which we've highlighted that will increase productivity and also have new investments come in and give emphasis for India's own brand on those things is on the biopharma sector. I think that's going to be a big change in the way in which we are looking at giving capacity for those who are able to research, who are able to undertake research and development. So 10,000 crore initiative again over five years for domestic biologics and biosimilar production. This is a clear message and backed with enough substance that India's lead in the pharmaceutical sector should be kept intact, but at the same time bring in newer ways of helping the pharma sector, and also because it has an impact on human health. Semiconductor mission had 2 major announcements that will improve the India stack and also the IP related matters. Electronic components manufacturing scheme for 40,000 crores is a major encouragement for electronics to become self-sufficient. We have also announced establishing rare earth corridors so that India can face and be able to meet its own requirements with its materials. So once we identify and are able to explore these minerals and process them, make them available for us, our dependency on external sources for bringing in the rare earths will be lesser. And we've identified the states where we want to establish this rare earth corridors. They are going to be in Orissa, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. So these are very important developments, and they are going to have multiple decadal impact on the Indian economy. Our dependence on magnets and rare earths will be brought down. 3 dedicated chemical parks, again for reducing our import dependence. High-tech tool rooms for research, that will be set up in 2 locations. Very important thing is about the construction equipment being imported. That could be for building tunnels or metros or high energy and also heavy duty equipments which we are relying on imports. We want to manufacture them in India. And that is why I said, how does it affect a common man? It affects because firefighters today have novel, new, big ticket and small, very small firefighting tools and weapons or equipments. We don't have them in this country. That's why if there is a fire accident in some very congested area, our equipments are not able to reach those points. Whereas there are equipments which today are produced abroad, which can navigate those small corridors and go save people's lives. Whether they or huge ones, all of which we want to make sure that we will have production in this country itself, whether they are tunnel boring or anything else, from small to big, we want to bring in those very impactful infrastructure into India. So we'll support domestic manufacturing. Then container manufacturing is another, which we'll support. I think I've gone in detail talking about the textile support in various forms. One very important announcement was made, Mahatma Gandhi Gram Swaraj initiative, which will make sure khadi, handloom, handicrafts will all be brought in, and one district, one product will all be brought in this initiative, and we'll be able to support rural artisans, rural workers, and handloom weavers in those areas. Legacy industrial corridors have got saturated. Manufacturing happening there is now very constricted because they are not able to bring in newer robotics and others. So we want to upgrade these legacy industrial clusters so that they become cost competitive and efficiency comes into these places. Even more important is the champion MSMEs, small and medium industries, entrepreneurs, MSMEs, who are going to be given all the support, and 3-pronged approach is being taken up there. We are giving equity support, We are giving also liquidity support, above all professional support for them, so that MSMEs, the equity support is supported by a 10,000 crore SME fund, growth fund. Above all, we are also topping up the Self-Reliant India Fund with 2,000 crores. So MSMEs should not feel any dearth of resources for equity. Similarly, they shouldn't feel any difficulty for liquidity in their hands, because the TREDS platform will now be treated almost as a backed up, security backed up instrument with which they'll be able to discount and get their monies. For professional support, we're working with the Chartered Accountant and Cost Accountant Institutes so that they can create corporate mitras who can help these MSMEs in filing their returns, doing their accounts, and so on. Above all, for youth and training, there's so much. You've heard the speech, so I won't want to take your time on it. High-powered education to employment enterprise, standing committees being formed so that they can recommend measures for service sector as a core driver of Vikasit Bharat. Part B concentrated a lot on tax and related concessions that are being offered. More importantly is the process simplification which has been announced. So elaborate measures have been taken. You will be able to also seek clarification if you want. New export opportunities for fishermen who can go into the economic India's zones, high seas, and also assess and access the global markets. The one very touching, and I really was moved by this proposal, is where we have identified 17 drugs or medicines which are going to be basic custom duty exempt, which are important for cancer patients. Similarly, 7 more rare diseases are added to the import exemption list of the import duties. Baggage clearance and personal items which you bring in when you travel are all being given enhanced duty-free allowance. Besides that, there are quite a few direct tax and indirect tax proposals. Decriminalizing the penalty proceedings and support to the IT sector are some of the high points. As an opening remark, I'll conclude here. I'm sure you'll be able to ask questions and seek clarification. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll start this question, taking the questions. First question is 17.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Shishir here from Hindu Business Line. Ma'am, my question is that under the miscellaneous capital receipt, the provision is 80,000 crore rupees. And last year, the provision was 47,000 crore, which has been reduced to 37,000 crore rupees now. Does this mean that there will be more equity monetization this year, or there will be more focus on the asset monetization of CPSEs?
So you've got it rightly. The intent is that we will have a very strong asset monetization plan in place. Last year, ma'am had announced in the budget that there will be a pipeline prepared, which is being done. So we hope to reap the dividends from that.
238.
Ma'am, Timsi Jaipuria, this side from CNBC-TV18. I just wanted to know the rationale behind the hike in STT in futures and options.
So, first of all, I believe some confusion. In fact, the question that you have asked rightly reflects the announcement itself, that the only change made in STT is in the future and options. All the other STT rates remain the same. The primary objective of raising the tax rates on STT has been that it is felt that when you look at the volume of transactions in futures and options, whether you compare it to the size of GDP or size of the underlying securities market,
it is largely in the realm of heavy speculation, which results in losses to small, retail, unsophisticated investors. And the government's intention is to discourage speculative tendencies, and the increase in rate is essentially in that direction. So it is meant to essentially handle the systemic risk in derivative markets. Even after this increase, however, the rates of STT will remain modest compared to the volume of the transactions that is happening there. This is the reason.
54.
मैम तरुण शर्मा फ्रॉम जी बिजनेस। मैम आपने पूरा बजट जो है वो न्यू एमर्जिंग सेक्टर पे बड़ा फोकस रखा है। मैम मेरा सवाल आपसे दो हैं यदि आप अलाउ करें। एक मैम आपने जो एक्साइज ड्यूटी का कैलकुलेशन किया है वो पिछले बजट एस्टिमेट से इस बजट एस्टिमेट में तकरीबन 22% की ग्रोथ देखने को मिली है। दूसरा मैम जो आपने एमएसएमई के लिए कहा कि जो ट्रांजैक्शंस होंगे उसके लिए आप एक्सचेंज प्लेटफॉर्म का यूज़ करना होगा, तो क्या मैम ये सीपीएसईज के लिए कंपलसरी होगा जो डिस्काउंट ट्रेडिंग की जो बात है? थैंक यू।
I'll take the second question, ma'am. So, हाँ, ये CPSEs के लिए मैंडेटरी होगा कि डिस्काउंटिंग एज वेल एज नॉन डिस्काउंटेड बिल्स दोनों को ही ट्रेड्स पे करना होगा ताकि वो 45 दिन में भुगतान MSME को कर पाएँ, और ये हर तरह से चेक कर लिया गया है कि ये हो सकता है। So, we want to make CPSEs as pioneers. We hope, like ma'am has said in her speech also, that other corporates will also follow.
On excise?
Increased by 22%, sir, from last year B to this year.
Because there is from 1st of February, all the tobacco products have come back into excise, and all those revenues will account for the increase of the next year.
209.
Ma'am, Prakash Priyadarshi from ET Now. The budget has announced restructuring of PFC and REC. What will this restructuring look like? And does this also mean that these NBFC will be merged going forward?
What is the later part of your question? That these NBFCs are not going to?
Will be merged going forward?
Yeah, I've said we are rationalizing it. You'll get to know as we go forward. We want to streamline it, and therefore we'll be taking some steps. We'll let you know the moment we decide how to go about it.
234.
Hello, ma'am. Harsh Kumar from Business Standard. Ma'am, two questions. One is, you said that a high-level committee will be formed on the banking reforms in order to 2047. Are we going further for any kind of merger or something, since government is continuously saying that we need at least two of the big banks, at least of the top 20 banks. So are we going towards that?
No, first of all, when I say that it's going to be a high-level committee which is going to look into it, the terms of reference will be prepared, and we are looking at committee to go into the entire expanse of the banking sector so that they come up with recommendations which help us to plan for banking for 2047. We need, by the time we become a Vikasit Bharat, 2047 is our goal. We need to understand what are the other steps that we need to take in the banking area, and based on the recommendations, we'll go forward. But we have the Secretary, Department of Financial Services. We'll ask him to also give us, please.
Ma'am, I think you have rightly responded. There are a large number of aspects relating to the banking requirement. For example, the credit to the GDP, commercial credit to the GDP ratio low, and the expansion of the banking network, and what kind of procedures currently we have that is impeding both the deposits as well as credit. All those aspects will be looked at by an expert panel, a committee, and well, we will definitely have TUR, and then also consult the all the stakeholders, and the government will take a view on how to lay strong foundation for 2047 Viksit Bharat.
Ma'am, one more question.
229.
Okay, well, that is the finance minister and the secretaries with her in terms of the press conference which is underway. We'll go back to it and get you more. 400 lower on the Nifty now. Amit Jeswani is with us to run us through what he made of things. Amit, there are, good afternoon, there are positives and allocations, data center, and there is buyback taxation, and there is stuff there, right? But this STT thing has kind of thrown cold water. And it's only local investors today. Foreigners will come back tomorrow. I spoke to Ramdev Agarwal. He said, well, we'll have to, and I'm quoting him, he said, we'll have to see how furious FIRs are when they come. Now, I don't know. What's your sense, Amit?
Hi, Prashant. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Prashant, it's a tough budget, to be honest, and it's a tough day on the street as well. Let's be honest, this hike in STT was not expected. And we are seeing our portfolios being down 2%, and that's the case with Nifty as well. So broadly, it's a tough budget. There was no green shoots in this budget, nothing to write back home. See, the small 2-3% here and there moves is good for newspapers, but it doesn't move the markets, right? We are stock market people. And the thing is that there are no trends. That's the problem right now, because gold and silver volatility has increased a lot. And now you have a budget STT hike. So we need to find newer trends. That's the whole game. That once your risk management phase ends this time, we will have to see where can we allocate the incremental capital. And which are the trends? See, it's earnings season. We will get good opportunities. For us, it's all about where do we see incremental growth, and that's where we'll keep adding our weights.
Okay, all right. Hi, Amit. Good to see you in. Well, market's a shade of red itself. The last time around, you were talking about MEGA. Make India great again. The markets have underperformed actually in the last 1 year. Do you think there's no reason for us to actually outperform from here on? Earnings growth could come about. We're not cheap. And this budget, at least for the equity markets, has been a bit of a dampener. Go ahead.
So Nigel, even before the budget, the stocks that were doing well were basically commodities and somewhat gold-related counters, and some PSU banks because of value being the theme. If commodities have already fallen 20-30% from stocks have fallen 20-30% from last time I came here, that was like a week ago. Of course, even gold-related stocks have fallen 10-12%. So that trade is right now is going to consolidate. That's what you need. If you're going to sell these things now, you need somewhere to put in your capital. And the markets are going to stay flat till we don't have a new leader. See, every bull market needs a leader. 78% of global returns in the last 1 year have come in AI or semicon related stocks in the world. So market needs a bull market leader. There's no leader. Where do we go? That's a problem that most portfolio managers will face.
Amit, I'm trying to clutch on for some kind of positives for the equity market. Do you think the kind of meltdown that we saw in precious metals, gold, silver, that actually could be some kind of a blessing for equity investors? Because otherwise there was some money that was moving towards those asset classes. Now there's a shakeout over there after a while. Everyone's woken up again. You rather allocate a higher proportion equities. Do you think that's the way to go? Could that be a bit of a blessing that precious metals actually have seen some kind of a jitter or some kind of a shakeout?
Actually, the guys who are putting money in precious metals were stock market investors only.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now they come back, right?
They will come back. They've lost money. Actually, they've lost confidence. And see, losing capital is okay. Losing confidence is not okay at all. In bear markets, bull markets, do not lose capital. Even if you've lost some money in gold, silver, I think gold will make a comeback once it stabilizes. Silver, God knows, but don't worry. Gold will, till Trump is there, you have a hedge. Gold is a great hedge. Not that I have positions, but gold is a great hedge. And in this dip, maybe a good buying opportunity. It's a Trump put, right? You always had Fed puts, but gold will act as a Trump put all the time. And at lower levels, at $4,500 or lower, I would say gold becomes super interesting because it will act like an uncorrelated asset to equities, and it will hedge your, you don't have to look at Truth Social every morning.
Yeah. The market, the old joke, right? Not an old joke, new. Market falls 2%, the truth will change. That is also true. But anyway, we should put this out. What the DEA secretary, the pain point for market is STT. The DEA secretary has said STT increased because of high speculation in the F&O market. High speculation in F&O market resulting in losses for retail investors. And despite increase in F&O STT rates, the hike is modest, and this is modest as compared to volumes which are traded. We should actually put this out at the bottom of the screen in terms of those flashes. We were talking about commodities, right? Now, Amit, STT on equity has been increased, but CTT on commodities has not been increased. Now, that is another googly.
But it's only God and Nirmala ji can tell you. I don't know what logics work out there. So I don't know what to say.
No, actually, it is a signal that आप equity में देखे commodity, So all these high frequency chaps will move to commodity now. I don't know. There are options in commodities.
See, commodity, actually, there's no open interest. Even if you look at silver open interest, yesterday I was looking at silver open interest. Silver open interest was 8,000 lots. That was worth 2,000 crores. So actually in MCX, there's no large open interest that happens. It's just a lot of speculation that happens, and a lot of guys who want to hedge between this and COMEX and dwellers who are there, they keep hedging. That's the only kind of there is no open.
But Amit, total open interest in options in MCX is quite large, isn't it?
No, I was speaking about futures, not options.
No, I'm talking about options.
Futures was 8,000 lots.
I see. No, I'm talking, okay. Okay.
That's not a lot, that's 2,000 crores. So that's not a large number that people got disrupted, etc. Just look at open interest of F&O. That is how I look at it.
Okay. Now,
so it's not like, sorry.
You own MCX, Amit, I know. So, you still own it?
See, I would be buying or selling MCX today, so I can't speak about MCX today. I can't say what I'm doing.
Okay, all right, no problem. I won't press you. Anything else you've done today? You've been net reduction, net addition to
there's no addition to the portfolio today. Mostly it's just managing risk. See, we have to manage risk. We're risk managers. So we have to manage some risk on the portfolio, but no large addition today. We need to rethink, it's been a long day, to be honest, and our portfolios are down 2% today. So we need to rethink what the next strategy will be. But rethink will happen once 3:30 happens. I'm waiting for 3:30 on a Sunday.
All right, just one final question then. Any new trends? You said that you're waiting for the new trend to emerge, what the next leader of the market could be. Do you want to give us some ideas here?
No, so we don't know new trends yet. There has to be earnings growth. See, auto numbers today were really good. All auto numbers are good in general. M&M was 25%, TVS was 29%. I'm just giving you random names. Some we may have vested interest. Me, my clients, my family have vested interest in whatever I speak. But auto numbers look okay. GST collection looks okay. See, there are no new trends right now. Right now, the whole game is how to protect my portfolio. That's the only thing which is going on in my mind.
Okay. Amit, a couple of sectors, though, are in the green. The EMS space, those stocks have got hit. There's been an allocation increase out there, so those stocks in the green. Data centers as well, that's another theme that's playing out today. Anything you like from there?
So there is no stock to buy in the data center space. What they did is very good till 2047, no taxes. But in India, there are no listed plays. A real estate company saying it's a data center company doesn't make it a data center company, right? And the other companies are just too expensive. So there are only 2 plays or 3 plays here. And none of them are like, see, you get Microsoft or, those kind of names at 30p. And here we're paying a lot higher for not great growth. So I wouldn't, there are no places to play. I love the theme. I wish I could, but there is no place to play there. There's no place to play in the data center.
Data center and EMS?
EMS, no, we don't have any exposure towards EMS right now. We cut all our positions in EMS before this, not before, I would say during the meltdown that happened. Right now, growth expectations for all EMS, while a few numbers were good, but growth expectations and valuations have corrected across, and it will take some time for EMS companies to go back to new highs. I don't think, see, they were the leaders of the previous bull market. let the consolidation happen, and then they'll lead the next bull market. I'm not bearish right now on these levels because they've already fallen like 40%, but I'm not hyper bullish. I don't think they will lead the bull market. A bull market needs a surprise, something that people are not expecting, and starts growing at 50%, 40%, 60%. Actually, numbers were very good for the second largest exchange. They were looking super good. The month of Jan has been super good for option volumes, etc. But this is going to be a sentiment change. I don't think the long-term trends changes for options.
So
but we still have to think again. Like, it's just 2 hours to this news, and we will have to rethink how we look about our portfolio.
Okay, Amit, we request you to join again. For the time being, you're waiting for 3:30, but sounding a little bit cautious. And that pleasant surprise really eluded us today, if at all someone was hoping that Finance Minister will deliver that for the equity markets in particular. Thanks a lot, Amit, for joining in. Enjoy the rest of the day. Let's welcome Gurmeet Chadda back on the show. Gurmeet, good afternoon. We spoke this morning. You were gunning for some kind of positive news. Doesn't seem to be the case. Finance Minister has gone ahead and increased STT, which may not be a very, very big factor, but for sentiment, it's definitely dented sentiment. Forget about any kind of leeway on STCG or LTCG. What have you all done today?
So haven't done much, Nigel. We've added a little bit in BFSI because the credit growth continues to be strong. Some of the names have really become cheap, like some of the HFCs like Bajaj Housing. The bank credit growth has been pretty solid at almost 14.5%. So added some names there. We are now, just dissecting more on this data center tax holiday. We are also looking at the ISM 2.0. And one of the big beneficiaries of data center is also the ancillaries and the ecosystem around it, which is, let's say, specialized battery makers, the energy players and the energy ancillary players. Also, defense capital outlay has gone up. So while the defense budget overall may look optically, a certain modest increase, but within the budget, the capital outlay part is the highest. And anyways, government has been doing emergency purchase there as well. So any weakness there, we'll probably see if we can do some funding. But overall, I think the sentiment needed a bit of an uplift, and it's just worked the other way. I think somewhere we are missing the point on interlinkage between capital markets, currency, sentiment, and investments. So I think that interlinkage is missing. We are taking ad hoc decisions, and somewhere, every year some change in taxation, STT or, buyback or something or the other is hurting it. And I think we need more stability, we need more predictability, we need more simplicity. Too many changes almost every year.
And even in the buyback, there are different rates for a minority shareholder who will be now taxed at the LTCG, for promoters, for corporates, etc. So there is a tiered system now which comes into play for buyback. But it's been a tough day, no doubt, Gurmeet. This is the biggest budget day fall that we've seen in the last 6 years. Specifically about data centers, since you said that you are analyzing it, while you like the ancillary play here, but what about the stocks which are reacting now? E2E, Orion Pro, and Anantraj. Does it really move the needle for these stocks?
A little early to say, Rima, but as I said, something like, let's say, an HBL, which is into specialized batteries for data center, also into Railway Kavach, which is the security program. We are looking at that. It had a bit of a knock because, one of the order got cancelled, and then another one came yesterday. Something related to energy, because the overall big beneficiary of this entire data center AI play is energy. It needs tons of energy. So that's something we are looking at, both in terms of power equipments, PCB makers, other power equipments as well. And something I think which I found interesting was, these chemical parks and textile stuff. I think these two spaces have been very badly beaten down, especially chemicals. And we need to probably analyze and see. A lot of them are available at 8, 9, 10 times earnings. Some of them are actually available at 6, 7 times free cash flow. So lot of price damage there. And not today. I mean, I'm talking about last 2-3 years. So we are dissecting that. So it's very focused, this budget, semiconductors, EMS, chemical parks, textiles. So you got to then, analyze more details and blueprint. But overall, I think, as I said, if you are discouraging short-term speculation, you need to encourage long-term investing also. That is how the balancing act is done. I think somewhere, I think that the budget has missed the trick.
Gurmeet, we were just wondering why STT on equity derivatives are higher and not on commodity derivatives. Any thoughts? Any reason?
Don't know, Prashant. Maybe it will come next. Once the volume pick up, so if you see there is a pattern here. They went after Dream 11, online.
मैं viewers को बता दूं, हम लोग हंस रहे हैं, but अभी जो क्या बोलते हैं?
Government is sending a clear signal.
नहीं, there is a what is that song? जो मुस्कुरा रहे हो, क्या गम है जो छुपा रहे हो? हाँ, गुरमीत?
हाँ. So I was telling somebody कि भगवान का दिया सब कुछ है, बस equity taxation नहीं है. So.
Government wants everyone to focus on productive things. Cigarettes, the duty has gone up 40%. Dream 11, all those, real-time games, that's stopped. No F&O trading. Reformation.
Look at the market, guys, by the way.
Days low.
Wow, it's a plunge which has happened, and there's no other way to put it. 550 points down. So there is a swift kind of fall which is taking place. By the way, the day's low is 24,571, and we are at 750. Basically, we are about, the fall was so sharp in the morning. How much would we fall, guys, in the morning? 700 points?
Yes, 750 points.
Wow, 750 points at the day's low, which means that's the only reason why we are still about 200 points off the day's lowest level at this stage. But this is a very sharp cut, which is materializing once again.
And without the full participation of the foreign investors.
Nigel, my sense is at some level, people could be, preempting, shorting, thinking tomorrow FIs are going to come. As Ramdev said, how furious will they be?
Yeah.
Right? How angry will they be? Will they be sellers? So, I mean, it's possible people are kind of trying to preempt that move. The positioning data, etc., will tell us that a little later. Nifty Bank maybe as well.
It's down 1,300 points.
Wow.
Smash.
So 2% lower, and I think the Nifty mid-cap and small-cap indices is also selling off hard. 2.4. The low was so, the intraday sell-off was so large that on all these indices, they're still 1.5% away from the day's low, but these are large enough cuts in any case. Almost 600 gone now on the Nifty. So it's a poor Sunday for equity market.
Not such a special super Sunday, right?
Who said in the morning, somebody said, the color, or so the guest who said that. At the NSE, you were at the NSE, and someone said that I hope it's not going to be.
And today's low actually is coinciding with the September 30th low. We went down on September 30th to 24,587, and from there we did see a bit of a bounce. The problem is now there's no real trigger, to get very, very excited about the markets. Hopefully earnings pick up, but otherwise that that important trigger is missing. That reason to go ahead and buy. And just one more point, Prashant, you're making with regard to positioning. The factor that we track in terms of technicals is also the PCR. That's come down to 0.61. So normally we've seen it base out here, but we'll have to see. Tomorrow's going to be a rough morning, and then maybe some kind of stability is what we're looking forward to. But the PCR is moving towards that oversold level at around 0.61 as we speak.
Mitesh is with us. Mitesh, sorry, you've been hearing and I didn't come to you earlier, but anything you'd recommend viewers do? Anything out there? Trades?
Couple of things, Prashant. One, I think, 24,950, 25,000 zone is taken out. But what is remaining is the Bank Nifty 58,200, 58,100 zone. If that goes, I would expect the Bank Nifty to head further lower, possibly till about 57,600 to begin with, and then 57,000, which means that in turn could put further pressure on the Nifty. So I think for the time being, the directional bias remains on the downside. We have maintained that we have had some put option spreads on the Nifty. I think we're holding on to them. And that apart, on the stock side, I have a sell on KFin Tech with a stop at about 910 for targets of 940. That's one trading call, and the other one is also a sell call, which is on MCX. It's come off the base low, but the structure is extremely weak. So if you want to sell now, keep a stop at about 2270. Look for targets of around 2120.
6 Nifty stocks which are managing to close up in the green: Max Healthcare, TCS, Wipro, Kotak Mahindra Bank and Sun Pharma. That's the only space where you can see green on the screen. Mitesh, any trades here? There seems to be a flight to safety when it comes to IT this morning, this trade.
So, IT, I still don't want to, look into it, but I was listening to the conversation which you had earlier, and a couple of these data center names, are showing some signs of reversal. I was looking at the charts of E2E, that's looking very good in the short term. I think, the stock declined from 3,800 all the way down to about sub 2,000 and is now giving you first signs of reversals. I think it could possibly, if you can keep a stop just below 2,200, maybe about 10-15 points further lower, I think the first target could be around 2,600, and in a good case scenario, even 2,800 on the upside could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Gurmeet, anything else you want to add? It's a poor day, what can one say? But 600 points now.
So we'll wait for tomorrow now, Prashant, because the full FI participation would probably come in tomorrow. Let's see. I think there will be very sharp moves, and I think till such time, I think it's good to preserve some cash. Fortunately, we have some. But let's see. We were hoping to deploy today, but the market has taken all of us by surprise. But as I said, few things will stand out eventually once things settle, because there's not much incremental damage as far as things at the economy or market level is concerned. So maybe BFSI, auto, wherever the trends are positive, economic momentum is good, might present some opportunities, but good to wait for some time. Also, this metal meltdown, margin calls getting triggered will have some impact. So that may actually work to your favor in some time. May not be immediately, but maybe with a lag.
Market breadth is completely swung, 2:1 on the other side. So 1,000 stocks are higher, some 2,100 stocks on the NSE are lower right now. And it's, Hindustan Copper, just the big volume-led losers, right? I mean, I think I can count at least, it's a long list of 10% losers today. Hindustan Copper, MCX, BSE, Hindustan Zinc, Nalco, Garden Reach, Mazgaon, BDL, that big rally in defense, all sold into. And this is something we were talking about earlier as well. Angel One, the e-gold ETFs, Muthoot Finance, Silver Bees, Bank of India, Nuvama, Paras Defense, Indian Bank, IIFL down 10. And that's just, I guess, half the list, because it's a really long list of just severe amount of selling pressure which came through and showed up in terms of trade today, guys.
Well, that's right. A lot of selling is what we've seen across the board, actually, in today's trading session. Rima, you want to highlight a few more names?
Well, on the way down, it's mostly related to the commodity names. So Hindustan Copper, MCX, many of the ETFs, Nippon India Silver ETF. Defense stocks corrected sharply. There was anticipation of a bigger increase, but there was disappointment visible on Bharat Dynamics, BEL, PSU banks under pressure, Bank of India. In the frontline pack, we had Hindalco, ONGC, SBI. These are stocks with cuts in excess of more than 5%. On the way up, I think IT goes home as the only sectoral index which managed to close in the green.
Well, on that note, though, we'll wrap up on our special coverage. More news and updates continue right here on CNBC TV18. Stay with us.